Do you want to go to her house?
Mm-mm.
Why?
No.
You don't want to go out?
Mm-mm.
You want to stay at home?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yay.
This is not the first time that my daughter has friends that will ask her to come to their houses, and then she will tell them that she doesn't want to come or that they should come to her house instead. And it just dawned on me yet again that when I was her age, anytime I could, at 6, 7, 8, anytime I could leave the house to go to a friend's place, I would never, ever, ever say no. Because for me, that meant there was peace, there was no problem, there was just no stress. There was nothing that gave me belly pain, there was nothing that gave me headaches, there was just, you know, I was always that child that overstayed at people's houses. And of course, with time as I grew up, of course, my friends, their parents knew. It was like an untalked secret, kind of. It was like the elephant in the room, right? They knew that I am that child that is around because I don't want to be at home. And that's insane. That's insane because now, from my perspective as a mother, if my daughter had a child like this, I would not just watch that happening. I mean, I get that you can't always be like, oh, let me go and talk to the parents, but nothing ever happened. Like, nothing ever happened. And it's not as if those people did not know my mother. It's not as if she was like an unknown stranger that they hadn't seen or hadn't known or anything like that. They just didn't care enough, apparently. That's the only explanation from my point of view now. Because I'm like, had it been my child has a friend that is always here, I mean, God forbid, they can bring home whoever, anytime. I pick their friends, I take them home, they sleep here, no issues whatsoever. But if one of these kids was preferably here than in their own houses, and that is like my child would tell me that, because of course children talk. And of course my friends' parents, they knew. So, but somebody never asked me, or I was never like taken to the side and like, hey Nicole, what's actually up? Why is that the case? Do you want to talk about it? Nothing like this ever happened. And sometimes when I see all these things unfolding on the internet, I'm like, so there are people that care. Maybe in my case, they were just not loud enough, or they were just not, maybe they didn't care enough. I don't know. But anytime my kids decide that, oh, I really want to play with this friend, but I don't want to go to their house. One, for me, that's a fucking red flag. That's a red flag because I trust my children's guts over anything. So if they don't want to go to a person's house anymore, particularly my daughter has been to this particular friend's house some few times, but she now said that she doesn't want to go, which I asked her why multiple times, and she just said she doesn't know, which means there's just an underlying feeling that means she doesn't just like to go there. There's not an environment she likes to be around in or she likes to be in, and that's perfectly fine. She doesn't need to explain that. But that again reminds me that at my age now, we've created a home for our children that they do not need to run away from, that they don't need to look for alternatives to. They don't need to look for anything outside because they know it's at home. And that's very, very healing, at least for me. Also, it might be she's sick, she's having a cough, so that might also, contribute to that. But at the end of the day, if a child doesn't want to go somewhere, it should never be overlooked. And if a child especially wants to go to one place over and over again as a form of running away from home, that is also a red flag. And I wish that we could look more, care more, be louder, and be more sensitive towards the feeling of children. Because looking back now, I am 100% certain that if along the line, whether it was teachers, bus drivers, parents, neighbors, if people had cared enough or cared more, many things that happened to me could have been prevented, probably. But that did not happen. So, yeah, that's that. But to get the positive from that is that I know to listen to my children's feelings and to take them very, very, very seriously in all aspects of their lives. It doesn't matter if it's food, if it's clothing, if it's places, if it's people, if it's environments, anything. If my kids said they are not good there, they are not comfortable, I don't care who you are. I don't care what relationship you have to them. I don't care what the situation is. I have stood up from a doctor's appointment and left the place because my daughter was not feeling comfortable. I do not care who you are or who you think you are. Because, yes, of course, she needs medical treatment, but in this case, it was just a routine checkup. And basically, at the end of the day, she was asked to remove her clothes, and she was not comfortable doing that. She wasn't. She was 4 years old. She wasn't comfortable. She didn't want to. I tried talking to her. I was like, hey, you really need to check. You really need to get your clothes off because the doctor needs to check you. She did not want to. I didn't force her. I packed her up and we left. That's that. The doctor was like, no, she has to. She has to. No, no, the fuck she doesn't. If it's not life-threatening, if it's not urgent, she does not have to. She does not have to. There will be a next time. We can reschedule that appointment to another day. If you want even another quarter, I don't give a fuck, okay? She doesn't need to. And that has nothing to do with cuddling her feelings or, spoiling them and, oh, the world is not a bed of roses. My home is. My home is. Okay? I don't care what's outside. So anything they say, anything they feel, anything they are in relation to, and their gut feeling is off, I'm going. I don't care if I see it. I don't care if I feel the same way. And I learned that the fucking hard way. I learned that the hard way because people saw me. They saw the bruises. They saw it. It was not invisible. It wasn't as if it was always covered in clothing or I was always, because I was a child. So, of course, I talked. There was a situation. I mistakenly entered the wrong bus. And the bus, it still got to the right direction, but it took another lane or another course. So another route. So I got home a lot later. There was nothing like a mobile phone that I could have called home, right? So I told the bus driver he has to drop me somewhere so that I can walk the rest so I'll be home faster because if not, I'll be beaten. That bus driver knew my mother. He never for a day thought that that was a red flag. He never for a day felt that, damn, that's actually a lot. I once got caught with a letter that I had taken from our mailbox that like kind of scolded me for a behavior. The letter was in my bag and my teacher caught it and I was like, why is this letter in your bag? Unsignatured, like your parents have not signed it, unsigned. So did I just say unsignatured? Whatever, okay, if the statement is not correct, the sentence there. So I was like, I was trying to lie and I was like 9 years old, 10 years old. My lies were like stinking lie, okay? Of course it was obvious that I was lying. So I told my teacher, I was trying to tell her the lie that, my mom just forgot to sign it. This woman called on the phone. She was like, if you don't give me the signature, if you don't bring that letter back signed, I'm going to have to call your mother. And I was like, please, if you call her, she's going to give me hell. I'm going to get beaten. This teacher was just like, oh no, don't worry, it's not going to happen. She did call and it did happen. She did see the bruises. She didn't do shit. So, had it been we care more as societies, in aspects we should be caring more, many children like me wouldn't have to go through what we went through in the hands of neglect from our parents, but also the neglect of the people in our surroundings, in our environments.